there's two messages. The answer is, it was clear to me in discussions through question period and others that the province had no idea about what's going on in terms of the complementary measures project. This was done through Department of the federal government, through research under 4 ministries, through submissions, and the whole Dilbit research, etc. My understanding from the provincial level is that their input has been through working groups that advisory working groups that they've established, that the federal government would be very helpful to actually provide people to work on it. So based on the fact of the submission was very clear. Terry Lake's comments were very clear. The deadline for the response to the submission is such that there is simply no way that a Dilbit modeling capability or experiments to actually assess what will happen to a marine oil spill from Dilbit. There's no way that that can be done. Simply impossible. The government has recognized this, but it's uncertain that the feds will what they'll do. And this is millions of dollars. We're canceling programs across the country, and they're going in to do this research.
Absolutely. So when you say there are 2 messages, and that's because you have before you 2 elected Green Party members, 1 federal, 1 provincial. As a federal parliamentarian, I am shocked. There is a systematic effort by Mr. Harper to ignore the role of Parliament. In fact, under our Constitution, Parliament is supreme. The Prime Minister is, in theory, one among equals and is not supposed to be running the whole show. As Mr. Harper said that time he took off on the ATV in the Arctic, I make the rules. He seems to think that it's okay to hide from parliamentarians in a budget substantial funding towards one purpose, greasing the wheels for Enbridge tankers and pipelines without saying so. This funding went by without anybody being aware that it was happening. So yes, there's 2 levels of concern. I'm very concerned as a parliamentarian. The doors of Parliament are, we don't know when we're going back. But the BC government has a question to be answered and resolved given their very strong principled position when they spoke before the Joint Review Panel and their evidence. At the federal level, I think Mr. Harper has a lot of explaining to do. I can anticipate what they'll say. They'll say this is merely due diligence. We have to do these things because the project might be approved. Surely Ms. May and the Greens wouldn't want tankers out there on the high seas without proper meteorological information. Of course not. But that money shouldn't be spent and taxpayers' dollars shouldn't be diverted to the Enbridge project when the review isn't completed, the advice hasn't been received. Again, it suggests that from Mr. Harper's point of view, the review process is not, as he said, respect for the rule of law and waiting for evidence, but merely a slight delay on the road to rubber stamping whatever